You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, and I am Jake Crist from Ohio versus Everything.
You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the interactive interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
So what you gonna do?
Let me talk to you, dummies.
Oh, yeah.
You're where it's at.
If you're smart like me, you gotta listen.
And if you don't listen to it,
I'll come out of your computer and body slam your ass.
Don't be a Melvin.
I will scar you.
Open your third eye.
Woo! It's gonna be cool.
Oh, what a rush.
It's showtime!
We had a lovely conversation.
To the interactive interview. Interactive Wrestling Radio.
The Epicenter.
OVE is looking to unmask everything. 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 Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Interactive Wrestling Radio right here on WrestlingEpicenter.com. My name is James Walsh, and joining us this week is a gentleman who joined us back in December as part of our 500th episode. Also on that episode was my old co-host Daniel Edler, who later on ran IPW UK, as well as Johnny Impact. So we had a big star-studded 500th edition. This is episode 546, and we have him on one more time. From OVE, it is Jake Crist, who is facing Fantasma on Thursday night on Impact. Speaking of Impact, we also will have the Impact Wrestling conference call this Thursday featuring the odd couple of KM and Fala Ba. Should be an interesting teleconference to say the least. And we also earlier this week had on an interview with Shane Taylor, who's going to be part of Ring of Honor's Texas Loop. He's one of their rising stars there, biggest guy they got by far, and he's going to be facing Hurricane Shane Helms in his first appearance there, as well as Cody Rhodes at the Dallas show as well. Last week we had on Lucha Underground's writer and executive producer, Krista Joseph. So everything non-WWE is coming right here to WrestlingEpicenter.com. We're so appreciative of everybody who's helped this be the case, especially and including Impact Wrestling and Ross Foreman for helping us set up these interviews. Hope everybody enjoys this. Be sure and check out the Global Wrestling Network app. Be sure and check out Impact Wrestling on Pop TV every Thursday night. And, of course, check out ImpactWrestling.com. Without any further delay, let's get to the interview.
OVE. Ohio versus Everything.
Welcome back to Interactive Wrestling Radio. On the Newsmaker line with me right now is a gentleman who joined us around Christmas time, actually. He was actually part of our 500th episode. This is episode 546, so it's been a little while since we had on from OVE, Mr. Jake Crist. Mr. Jake Crist, are you with me?
I am with you.
All right, man. It's so great to have you back on, and I was surprised to see that you were the Impact guest of the week doing interviews this week, and I see why, because you're going to be wrestling Fantasma on Impact Wrestling. Thoughts going into a rare singles appearance for Impact Wrestling?
I'm looking forward to having the stage of going head-to-head with Fantasma. My game plan going into this match is straightforward. I'm gonna get him down to the ground. I'm going to rip his mask off. I want to expose his ugly face to the world. I mean, what are you hiding under there? What are you trying to cover up? I think he's got to be ugly, right? I mean, why else would you wear a mask? I mean, we wear masks. I mean, we rip them off, and, it's kind of our thing. But I mean, like to wear a mask, throughout your whole life and your whole wrestling career, like, what are you hiding? Like, I'm going to expose that on Thursday.
Very good. Is that going to be something that we can expect to continue? You guys going head to head with the masked wrestlers.
Well, I mean, it doesn't. It just happens to be who I'm wrestling in a singles match, and that's just my game plan going into this match. Like, what happens in the future? In the future, who knows? It's us versus everything. We are Ohio versus everything. Everything. Everything.
I love it. All right. So is this something that you're going to want to do going forward, though? More singles matches, or are you still primarily a tag team performer?
I mean, I'll do whatever's needed of me to do, and whatever job, whatever task is ahead of, whether it's singles, whether it's tag, whether it's being in trios with my brother and Sammy. We do whatever is needed of us to get the job done.
Awesome, awesome. Now, last week you were a part of that rather cinematic display at the end of Impact, the street fight, the fight in the woods that we saw between Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards. How do you feel about that kind of cinematic approach to wrestling where it's completely different than just a match? It's almost like watching a movie.
I think it's amazing, and actually seeing the finished product, I was pitching myself as the episode was on, thinking like, I can't believe this is me. It was awesome, but like when the fact is we were in the woods, which is like backwoods Ohio kids that we are. Taking a stroll in the woods is like walking on the sidewalk for most people.
Right. Very cool. So a lot of people credit Lucha Underground for being kind of the catalyst for opening up the doorway for some of this more cinematic style of wrestling that Impact does from time to time. They did it with the Hardys, and now they're doing it with what we just saw last week. What is your take on Impact Wrestling opening the doors and starting to work with other companies like Lucha Underground?
I think it's just beneficial not only to us wrestlers and us workers that get to have the platforms to go on to different stages and perform, but it's also for the fans. Like the fans win in this. Like when companies work together and when companies allow talent exchanges the way that things are going down now, like it's just beneficial to not only the wrestlers but the fans as well, and it's just a win-win for everyone.
I agree. And one of the cool things that happened just last weekend was your buddy, fellow OVE member Sami Callihan, kind of started off something with Ring of Honor, potentially, talking about the Chris Jericho cruise. Your thoughts on the potential of seeing the two biggest non-WWE companies in the U.S. and in North America go at it, potentially on the cruise, and maybe even an event down the road too, Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling?
Like I said, it's kind of with the last question. It's beneficial not only for Impact Wrestling fans, but for the Ring of Honor wrestling fans as well, to see the different the talents coming in and merging and getting like the dream matches that people can think of. Like, sure, you probably have a couple off the top of your head that you would like to see if it happens. So like, who knows what's going to happen? I don't know. All I could say and all I know is we're just whatever is needed and whatever job is called upon, we'll be there and we'll do it.
Excellent. So when we last spoke, you had already filmed the Barbed Wire Massacre match, and we were talking about how it was going to be the first one to air on a national product. Unfortunately, it did not end up airing on television. Thoughts on why that match didn't air on TV, and gosh, thoughts on the match itself, because that was insane.
The thoughts on the match was just the violence and the brutality that all of us endured, and all the crazy things that happened in the match. Me getting wrapped up, to me spearing out of the ring onto the table onto my head, like from Dave getting skewers to suplex off the ladder. I mean, the big moments that was in that match was very, very, very painful. I have the scars to prove them. I look in the mirror, and it kind of brings a smile on my face when I see him in the mirror, knowing what I did. I do wish it was being able to show on national television, but I think it was just a little too violent, and just like it was deemed too violent for TV. That's why they had to switch it.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that, your spot where you landed on your head, and I wanted to kind of praise you, and I mentioned this last time. You seem to kind of come out to the ring in your own space. Like you're bouncing, you're a rubber ball out there taking these bumps. What does it take to psych yourself up before you go out there knowing that you're gonna basically be beating the crap out of yourself for the next 15, 20 minutes?
It brings joy to me in a sick in a sick, twisted way. Like it really brings joy, and to be able to, like, I'm anxious to get out there and fight. Like, I want to fight. And when I get those chains pulled off me, and I see the green light, I go. That's why I bounce around. Like I got my thing I'm thinking about, I'm doing, I can't wait to kick this guy in the face. As soon as the bell rings, I want to kick him in the face. It's kind of like being an anxious dog, just wanting to go out and pee on every fire hydrant.
Awesome. So a few months ago actually now, we interviewed Brian Pillman Jr., and we also, just a few weeks ago, had on Desmond Xavier, both of which credited you guys, probably more so Dave, for being their major trainers. Thoughts on those two guys as wrestlers, and how involved are you in the whole training process? Because they seem to, they do mention you, but they seem to kind of maybe talk a little bit more about Dave.
Yeah, Dave, as far as training goes, that's all Dave. Like when I'm not wrestling and I'm disconnected from wrestling, like I like to stay that way. I have my own little island here in Dayton. Like me, Dave, and Samley all live 5 minutes away from each other, but they do their school. And Desmond Xavier, being from Ohio, I don't have a bad thing to say about the kid. He's amazing. Like, look how athletic he is. Like he does his thing. He probably could do his thing in his sleep and look better than most people. And Brian Pillman Jr., like he just kind of started coming into Rockstar. Like Dave takes those kids under his wings, and he trains them and he teaches them the ropes of the business. When it comes to me, I book the shows. Like I'm the brain of Rockstar Pro Wrestling, and I just give them the platform to perform in front of weekly fans of Dayton, Ohio.
All right, very cool. So one of the commercials running for Slammiversary says, has your opinion of Impact Wrestling changed over the last 6 months? Good. So that kind of is going to be my question to you. You came in kind of in the middle of maybe a slight regime change, but for the most part, you've been part of this current regime. Thoughts on the changes at the top at Impact Wrestling, and how does it feel to see maybe a change of momentum and a change of public perception of Impact Wrestling?
I think the public, I think it's changed a lot in the public's view, and I think it's towards the good because of the television that we're producing. Like the heads and the suits of Impact Wrestling are doing a great job, and giving us the platform to do it on is amazing. So like as far as I'm concerned, like seeing the different changes and regimes, like I stuck to myself. Like I was new coming in. I was looking mostly down at my shoes rather than pay attention to anything. I was just, I was minding my own business and doing my own thing. And once Dave and Sammy got on board with all of that, that's what you see on TV now. Like we just come in and we do our own thing. We don't worry about anyone else. Don't worry about which regime is here or there. Like we are going to do the best of what we have to do with the platform that we have to do it on.
Excellent. And pretty much your final question before I can let you go for today, probably on your next interview, would be yourself and Dave have been tied in with the feud with Eddie Edwards. That's kind of been OVE versus Eddie Edwards and company for the better part of the last several months. Any objection, let me get my words right here, any plans to regain or rechase the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Championships?
We're just focusing on the task at hand right now, and that's Eddie Edwards. Whether it's fighting in the woods, whether it's fighting in a wrestling ring, fighting in Boston, fighting in Dayton, Ohio, wherever it may be, like that's what the focus on. As far as the tag team wrestling, tag team championships are concerned, if it comes down the pipe, absolutely, like we'll take the opportunity and we'll jump all over it. But like that's not one thing that I think about. Like I think about creating mischief and creating must-see TV. And as far as, thinking and dreaming of championships, that's just not me.
Very cool. I tell a lie. My final question will be about Slammiversary. Any plans going into July 22nd and the big pay-per-view celebrating 16 years of Impact?
We are going to create a must-see Slammiversary. July 22nd in Toronto, we are going to take over everything, and you will realize, and everyone will realize, why we say it's for Ohio, by Ohio, and it's truly us versus you. And we're going to leave a mark, and we're going to leave an impact on this business. We're going to use the platform of Slammiversary to do that on.
Beautiful, man. All right. Well, I wish you the best of luck. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And I want to thank you again for agreeing to do this with us.
Thank you.
All right, man. Thank you so much. You have a great rest of your night. Hope you don't have too many more
All
of these
right,
to do.
buddy. I'll talk to you later, my man.
This is the Wrestling Epicenter. For over 15 years, we've brought you the top names in professional wrestling for exclusive interviews. Everybody you see here has been interviewed by our site. But we're more than just interviews. So be sure and check out WrestlingEpicenter.com for news, results, information, and of course our store. WrestlingEpicenter.com, your #1 source for wrestling information.